Sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932. Protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website and MBRradio.us. We got to bless the show before we get started. Let's go. When I was in my mother's womb, I had a calling on my life to do something in the glory of God and marry it like a wife. Commit myself to his word and never be led astray. And when it's all over, when he comes, I'll be glad to see that day in the morning time. All right, good evening and welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website. The same thing, the notice behind. We got flashing lights already. Where's Kanye West at? Thanks for tuning in tonight. If you are in your vehicle and you got to get out of the car, grab your device, type in kcaradio.com or go download the app. Yes, KCA Radio has an app. You can go and download that, whatever operating system that you utilize, and you can listen to us streaming. Yeah, the Doc is here already. What's up, Doc? Can we rock? Let's see. What else? What's happening? Hello? Don't be shy.
Yes, I'm here. What did you say?
I said don't be shy.
I'm here. I did. Something happened in near where I am.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't hear.
It's all right. It's all right. I was just giving everybody some instructions. If they got to get out of their vehicle, they can listen to us from the app at KCA Radio. They can download that on their Apple or Android device, or go to the website at kcaaradio.com and click Listen Live or Watch Live and catch me in the studio live. On the air with now Dr. Maisha. How are you tonight?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Just coming off of another loss with my Ventura County Orcas sickle cell trait platform ABA team. We lost tonight to the Nova Stars of Southern California, 150 to 138.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry.
I know, yeah. So, I have like an hour plus drive home after the game, right? And so I'm driving home and I'm playing the game back, but more so I'm playing, the conversations during the game, right? And like, I love, like, these are brand new. These guys haven't played together before, right? This is the first time they're playing together with us as a group, as a team. But as you know, with your psychology background, that a lot of this is mental health. It's mental more than the physical in basketball, in a lot of sports. But for me, basketball is more mental than it is physical. And we really have to get our mental health together as a team. Players saying I'm the best player on the team and I'm this and I'm that. You didn't do this or you didn't do this or you. It's like, hold on. Where's your self-accountability at first? See, it's easy to point out what everybody else didn't do. But what did you not do for yourself first? And I'm excited because, right? I'm excited because it's not, again, it's our first season where we're putting up numbers in triple digits every game, right? But we're also beating ourselves at the end of the game.
There you go. And then you take the wins, right?
Right. So you take the win on, it's not the W win, but it's also the, like I said, it's also the building of the team W that I see, that I'm looking for, right?
Exactly.
That I'm looking to look into, but there's still some things that just need to be addressed. And I guess I'm going to say this to you too. I was talking to my buddy just a few minutes ago, and I was like, and I haven't said this to my team yet, so you get this exclusively interview right here. I feel like one of the owners from the NBA, So anyway, So as the owner of the ABA, one of my, the Ventura County Orcas, if you ask me what happened, I would say that we mentally just broke down at the end of the game. We were down close to 40 and came back to 12 and then just mentally just fell apart, right? And so for me, I was thinking, I almost wanted to say that I was disappointed, right? But then I was like, let me make sure I'm using the right words to describe how I feel, right? Because I'm emotionally intelligent, I say. So as I'm talking out to Drescher about where I'm at with today's loss, I realized that I'm not disappointed. I'm embarrassed.
Oh.
And I'm embarrassed because at the end of the game, my guys are just hollering back and forth at each other in the as we're wrapping up the game, right? It's over. And everybody's hollering at each other and they're going, and I'm this and you should have did this. And I looked at the people who were still in the gym. And that's what I'm embarrassed about. I'm embarrassed about that the family members, the friends, the little children saw my team in the corner over here hollering at each other about who didn't play defense and who had turnovers and who didn't do this. That's embarrassing.
Right. It's embarrassing.
That part
it's embarrassing when people don't maintain in their professionalism.
That's it, Dr. Maisha. That's what we need to develop as a team. And so I'm not disappointed in the loss. I'm more embarrassed because how can we ask people to come and watch us and have the children in the elementary school and the middle school students be our fan base and the parents when we can't even have composure on our bench?
Yep.
And so I'm okay that people aren't, and I'm glad it was a minimum of folks that was in there today to see that, because that right there for me is more embarrassing than the loss. And that's what I'm on. If they don't hear this before I get home, that's my conversation to them.
Yeah.
Is how do we deal with our professionalism, with our ego? And I think we give pride and ego too much credit. I think pride and ego is a label, and we give that to credit, and then like you could just write that off because of my ego. Nah, we're gonna peel that layer off because there's something else going on beneath that. So I'm definitely embarrassed.
There's something else going on, but then again, it still relates back in that ego is a catch-all phrase.
Yes, that part.
Because there's the ego that's very paper thin and very arrogant. Mm-hmm. And it's so afraid of being found out for being paper thin that it tries to puff up.
See, you know, pretending.
Right.
It's the pretense.
And so it's ego in that sense.
Yes, there is the word called pretense.
And then not having substance means there are mannerisms that are not in place.
Yes.
I experienced this today where even if someone had an issue with a thing, then they should have handled it completely differently. Mm-hmm. And people who are innocent of that scenario should not be sucked in.
Yes.
So you've got onlookers.
Yes.
That are experiencing the different emotions while being powerless to control it.
Yes.
But then they're going to have a certain amount of whose side do I take when they shouldn't even be in the conversation.
Yeah.
And so even if there was going to be a conversation like, man, you really should have done that better. Like so-and-so, you should have had your eye on this and you had your...
Yeah. That's the part, Dr. Maisha, that I just feel like something, and I do believe that we can teach this. Matter of fact, I know we can teach it because again, when you talk about pride and ego and you're talking about professionalism, it's something that you don't do that. You don't do professionalism and think it's going to stay in existence. No, there are ways of being that you have to practice being calm, being patient, being confident, being courage, being selfless, being kind. Not even about being nice, it's about being kind. But if you can't be kind to yourself first, how can you then give that away? I have all these conversations, here on the show and in my life more so than on the show. And it's just going to be something that I'm going to have to just sit down and figure out, not just on paper, but in actual factual of like, okay, look, if we don't improve in this area of our game, as far as the mental toughness and the emotional intelligence and all the other things that go along with the professionalism, if we don't deal with that firsthand, then how will we grow as a team? And that goes back to my I in team conversation. And what best conversation to have is because this is what we're going to be teaching the next generation of basketball, of sports. So, yeah, for those of you who are part of the Ventura County Orcas, I'm embarrassed of our behavior as a whole, as a group, after the game. Like, the fans should not have to see, and I like the word should, but the fans don't deserve to. I don't even like the word deserve either. I gotta get my language, my choice of words. The fact of it is, you shouldn't have to act like that after a game, right? And what is that? Like, what are we dealing with? Because it has nothing to do with the turnovers. It has nothing to do with who didn't pass the ball. There's something else going on. There's something else going on, and we're gonna figure it out. I mean, this is only our fifth game. Fourth game. So we got plenty of time. And I don't want to leave my hat on the W as a victory on paper as a stat, but it's more about winning this game of life, right? Or whatever game of life you're playing. All right, so this is the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website, the station that leaves no listener behind. Make sure you catch me on Wednesdays at MBR. That's right, the Military Broadcast Radio Network. You can go to get their app too. The Trench Talk segment is over there. Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Beyond 2D is taking a break right now. We'll be back in February. Where else can you catch me? Oh, you can catch me on Lit Live. That's right. Used to be Dash Radio. Now it's called Lit Live. Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 5 p.m. That show airs. I was about to put show and airs at the same together, but shares. That show airs Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 5 p.m. We're going to play our first public service announcement by Calmigo. This conversation is dedicated, yes, to veterans. However, again, we're talking about emotional intelligence and mental toughness. And sometimes with our mental health, we deal with panic attacks, anxiety, and there's some veterans like myself that we do not want to take medications. And sometimes we forget that taking time out to just breathe, right? Just breathe could help. So check out this, and then we'll be coming up next with more Dr. Maisha and our sickle cell trait conversation. Shout us out, what's the count?
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmigo. Calmigo is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Comigo decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Comigo.com to learn how you can get Comigo through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM and 1050 AM. Make sure you go check out that Comigo device. I have mine. It's at the house right now. I didn't bring it with me today because I was at my basketball game, and you know, as I was talking to Drescher again today, an hour ago. You know, I also have to figure out, you know, why am I even wanting to own this basketball team, right? Because it took me a couple of months to just even put on the hat of I'm an owner or a member of the ABA, right? There's a whole world that comes with that, and the level of responsibility that comes with that, the financials that come with that, right? There's a lot that has to do with being the owner of a sports platform program. But what I didn't want just a team, I wanted a brand, right? So the Orcas basketball is not just a ABA team. I wanted to have that brand be able to do other things, right? So, you know, the orcas are an endangered species. So make sure you go to orcasaba.com or at orcasaba on Instagram and check out some of our posts, because our mascot is endangered. And there are about 90 plus on this part of the West Coast. And one of the things or reasons why they're endangered is their food supply. And when I looked at their food supply, I was like, oh, well, no wonder. Their main food supply is salmon. So I know I've been a salmon eater now for a couple of years. I really didn't do a lot of salmon before, but I've started call myself eating healthy. And so understanding that, you know, the fish with no scales can carry a lot of mercury, which could cause a lot of health complications, right? So that's why even biblically, God talks about what to eat and not what to eat. And if you understand fish, scales, mercury, that could be unhealthy. So when I looked at that, I was like, oh man, gee whiz, like how do I, now I could understand why the vegan community and people who don't, you know, eat certain animal products and, you know, do these other things, like I could almost see why they advocate in the sense of that, protecting that conversation. So we were created to have dominion over the earth, right? So if you understand, if you're a spiritual person and you have a relationship with Christ and God, then you know that, you know, we are here to dominate the earth. And taking responsibility for an animal that to look after, it became the orcas. So I battle with that now. It's like, oh, how can I advocate and still eat salmon? And then what's the other food? The other food is cod, right? So now when you do fish and chips at those restaurants, what is the fish of choice in the fish and chips? It's cod. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm not a real big fish and chipper, but like I said, I have become a salmon eater. And yeah, so that's what I'm dealing with, you know, personally. It's like, okay, I have this basketball team. I'm developing players, right? That's one of the goals. The other goal is to develop and take care of the animals. So it's like, how do we do that effectively as a team, as an owner, as I don't even know what to tell you. It's like I'm checking my own what you call ego, right? Do I have a chasing the hoop dream? Yes. I still wish I could play basketball like these dudes are playing right now on my team. I would definitely suit up. But I got on a jersey right now. I mean, I would definitely be out there if I could. But I'm chasing it as an owner, and then it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's fun. It's challenging. It's all that in one. And I'm having a good time. And it's not about saving people. It's really about just helping men become better. I don't even want to say better, right? See, I pay attention to my choice of words, right? Because sometimes we use better, more, and different, right? I don't want to make them better men, because they're already men. So how do you make it? I want to make them better. But you definitely want to develop. You want to alter. Imagine if they could alter their experience of themselves, right? That's all I did. The last 14 years, for my own issues, I've learned that I could alter the experience of myself, that I have that power, that I can alter my behavior from being upset to being calm in a second, in nanoseconds. Okay, the lines are lit up now. So that's one of the main things, is developing players with this basketball brand. All right, if you want more information about the Orcas, go to orcasaba.com or at orcasaba on Instagram and also on Facebook, Ventura County Orcas. We're just getting started. The 4th loss this season. But again, we're putting up triple digits up against some of the top teams in our conference. We've played 4 games. And one team we played twice. That is one of the top teams in our conference. And we played another top team in our conference today. So we're doing good. Actually, I'm very proud of these gentlemen to come together as a new team and play the way that they're playing. We can put up triple digits. We put up 130 points, 138 today. So we can score. But we got some stuff to do fundamentally to be fundamentally sound as a team, and also defense. You know, there's some fundamentals we got to do around the basketball too. Dr. Maisha, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So this segment is brought to you by WDC on SCT.org. That's WDCONSCT.org. I mean, this is my what's next. You know, the basketball thing is right in alignment with it, because I get to do my sickle cell trait advocacy work. And for me, there's this, for myself, is I separated my life into 2 things. I have an experience of life, and then I have my activity of life. And being back in church now, my experience of life is when all this stuff is taken away and I'm not an advocate. Like, who am I when I get to show up? Like, who am I? How do I leave that grocery clerk? Or how do I leave that bank teller? Or how do I leave people when I walk away? Do I leave them upset and frustrated with me? Or do I leave them fruit that God gave me of kindness and peace and patience, right? So this part of my life right here is my activity of life, which is called the sickle cell trait awareness that we do here. And Dr. Maisha is here tonight to help me bring this conversation around our Latin community. The Inland Empire is a large population of Hispanic and Latin community population. And as blacks, we are number 1 because it combats malaria. So we can have that whole talk for the next 20 years. But there are other races of people who are also impacted by this same gene that I carry. That's not a skin color. It's more of a bloodline conversation. So I asked Dr. Maisha to come on tonight because there is a need to have this discussion for our Latin community. And if I give you just a quick overview, you can go to the WDCONSCT.org page. At the very bottom, there's a tab for the Hispanic population. And it is a public health issue. This is a public health issue. There are babies still being born with sickle cell disease. There are people still collapsing and dying from sickle cell trait exertion with rhabdomyolysis. There are people with sickle cell trait that have pain. There are people with sickle cell trait that have babies with other types of red blood cell conditions that creates a type of sickle cell disease, and people just are not aware. So the first piece of this conversation is the awareness piece for me. And about 1 in 100 Hispanics have sickle cell trait in the United States. That's 1 in 100.
Oh, wow. I don't think I realized it was that high.
Yeah. That's why they're number 2.
Yeah, when you hear 1%, it doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But when you think about 100, there's 100 patients in any big city, ER, major city right now. There's at least 100 Latino patients.
Mm-hmm. And then it says,
at least one of them has it.
Yes. And then it says it's estimated that the sickle cell trait occurs in approximately 73 out of every 1,000 births.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that's in
trait?
blacks. Yeah, that's estimated for the trait in blacks, and then about 7 out of every 1,000 Hispanics.
Oh, new births.
Yeah, new births.
Okay.
Yeah, new births. So I asked Dr. Maisha to come here to share this with me because I wanted to share with the Inland Empire population community, especially in Spanish, as you translate this, Dr. Maisha. Just can you give like some of the basic facts that you as a doctor want people to know in English and in Spanish?
So one of the basic facts revolves around the fact that this can be symptomatic, right? Mm-hmm. That it's not just a matter of who you marry. It's something that anybody can experience bad outcomes from the rasgo de células falciformes, right? So sickle cell is células falciformes in Spanish. So you can have a trait of it, the rasgo of it. And so having a trait, anything else when you say, oh, I have a trait of this, it usually means that it doesn't impact your health or your day-to-day life for the most part. Or it's benign, like, well, I have the trait of blue eyes or green eyes or brown eyes. Mm-hmm. It's not, these are your traits. Traits are characteristics. That's how we think about it, right? We think about traits as a characteristic. But whereas when we talk about sickle cell without saying trait, or we call it anemia falciforme, right, in Spanish, anemia falciforme. Mm-hmm. It's not a trait at that point. Even though it means you have 2 genetic traits of a gene, it's not a trait. And so the fact that it's not a trait is really important in that case. And the fact that it is a trait is really important when it comes to sickle cell. Mm-hmm. So with other things, a trait is benign. And it's interesting, the language is interesting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because it can make you sick. El rasgo de células falciformes puede causar enfermedad. Puede darle la anemia, puede darle fatiguez, puede dañar el hígado, los órganos, los riñones. The organs can have problems. They can struggle. They can have damage. So calling it a trait, to me, can really be misleading. I don't know what else we would call it, but it is misleading. And the other thing that when you know genetics and you really think about it, it is not an autosomal recessive trait. So an autosomal recessive trait means you can only express that trait when you have 2 copies of it. And so the fact that it has a mixed expression, meaning it can express with only 1 copy, is very important.
Right.
And so those are things that I want people to think about. And what's my proof? Well, we've heard about people dying. So if it was autosomal recessive, as long as you have that dominant gene there, no one should be able to die from that, quote-unquote, trait. Entonces, lo que yo dije es que, aunque decimos que es un rasgo de células falciformes, la verdad es que no es autosómica recesiva. Es que puede ver la influencia de rasgo en la salud. Cuando algo solamente es un rasgo, no puede ver la influencia de este rasgo. No vas a tener efectos en tus órganos, en tu salud, en la vida diaria, cuando lo tienes como solamente autosómica recesivo. So for an autosomal recessive trait to express, you have to have 2 copies of the recessive gene.
Mm-hmm.
So if the S gene was recessive, you would only find expression when you have SS. And we know that that's not true.
Right.
We're having phenotypic expression of this gene, even when there's only 1 copy.
You know.
So,
I thought you were taking.
No, go ahead.
No, I wanted to also say, why this is important after that part of the gene and understanding the way the genes function is to address the counseling that goes with it. A lot of people don't know that part of it. Like, that's a part of the counseling process, right?
Exactly.
So I don't want to say what's wrong in the world, because there's nothing wrong in the world, but these are some conversations that are missing. And I use the word missing because missing means that there's a lack of knowledge. And there's also that, when you say sickle cell trait, that's a black person disease, so I don't have to pay attention to that. And that's not the case.
Yes, that's a key point. And I don't think we mentioned that in Spanish, que aunque la mayoría de la gente cree que células falciformes solamente pasa a las personas que puede ser son africanos o son descendientes africanos o negros, la verdad es que puede pasar en todo el mundo. Y la comunidad que lo tiene, segundo, después de la comunidad africano-americano o africano, son los latinos. Y también decimos anterior en el programa que adentro de 100 personas, una persona latina tiene células falciformes, el rasgo de células falciformes. Y en cada 1000 de nacimientos nuevos, tiene 7 que va a pasar que va a tener 7 de infantes, va a tener células falciformes, el rasgo de células falciformes. So I'm just explaining again in Spanish the numbers that you said earlier, because I didn't even realize that it was that high.
Yeah. I found another space that says 1 in 25 Hispanics in the United States. So I have one that says, and I want people to understand these numbers also because they haven't really been studied or calculated, or a registry, a proper sickle cell trait registry hasn't been done. So these numbers fluctuate from the 1970s and 80s still almost. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause I'm always seeing different numbers.
Right.
I think that's why I didn't realize it was so big.
Right. So there's because the lack of the registry of people of the CDC knowing, how many people actually have it, a sickle cell trait. These when you look in the documentation, these numbers are old.
Exactly.
But this is what we have to work with, and so I appreciate you for coming on and sharing that. Is there anything else you want to share before I let you go for the Hispanic community to? I say this as well. I learned this, that knowing makes no difference. We know a lot of stuff, but if we don't apply for it, if we don't have the confidence or the courage to seek it out and actually apply it to our life, then knowing makes no difference. We know what alcohol does. We know what cigarettes does, but we still do it. Like, knowing makes no difference. Is there anything you want to say on that would have a person want to go and find out, or even have the courage to say, hey, you know what? I think we do have this in our family, in our Latin Hispanic community, for them to have the importance. Like, what would you say if you had to say it in a phrase in Spanish? What is the importance of this?
La cosa más importante es cuando uno sabe que puede tener es de enfermedad en su sangre. Si uno sabe, puede curarlo, o no se puede curar, pero puede ayudar la persona a mantener la salud. Pero cuando uno no sabe, puede morir. Puede morirse, o puede la hija tuya o hijo tuyo puede morirse en una manera que podemos prevenir. Es posible tener el cuidado medical, que podemos cuidarlo, que los doctores pueden dar, por ejemplo, puede tomar vitaminas, puede tomar más agua, puede usar algunas hierbas. Hay muchas cosas que una persona puede hacer, pero cuando uno no sabe, pueden encontrar cuando están tan tarde. Y no es necesario que perdemos la persona que amamos mucho, que queremos mucho en el mundo, solamente por no saber o no descubrir lo que tenemos en la sangre. Es una condición genética, y algunas pruebas bien baratas podemos hacer. Nosotros, WDC en Inscription, vamos a hacer algunos programas en California y otros lugares para ayudar a la gente a descubrir, si lo tenga en su sangre, la enfermedad de células falciformes o rasgo de células falciformes. Y todo es igual, podemos buscar la solución juntos, pero si no lo descubrimos, si no lo buscamos, no podemos saber, no podemos ayudar. Entonces, para mantener la salud de tu familia, es necesario, y te juro, descubrir lo que tú tienes. La enfermedad se llama células falciformes o rasgo de células falciformes, y solamente es una prueba bien barata de la sangre. So that's the most important things I want people to know.
Dr. Maisha.
No,
Go ahead.
no puede llamarnos en el número para nosotras, para ayudarte, para darte la educación. Puede llamarnos en 984-212-3127 si tú quieres más información.
And feel free to call that number, because you can, if you have a level of concern for your family and you want to reach out to us, you can. WDC on SCT.org. Did you say the blood test is it electrophoresis in español? ¿Cómo se dice?
I said it was a cheap blood test, but I didn't say
¿Cómo se dice electrophoresis en español?
Yeah. I didn't say that part.
Joe's laughing at me because I was like that.
Poquito. because you actually understood what I was saying.
I recognize some of the language. I would definitely recognize some of the language. But I don't know cómo se dice hemoglobin electrophoresis in español. Is it the same pronunciation?
It's similar. It's similar. Oh. It's electrophoresis de hemoglobina.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, hemoglobina. Ay, mira, ahora estoy diciendo en inglés.
Ay, no, yo no sé.
Hemoglobina.
Yo no sé. I don't know.
Hemoglobina. Electrophoresis de hemoglobina.
All right, Dr. Maisha, thank you so much for hanging out with tonight. I really appreciate you. We're gonna move this conversation for our Latin community forward. So I appreciate you. You are nothing less than a blessing because of your dual language, your expertise in sickle cell trait. You have a psychology background in there too. I mean, we about to. They ain't even ready for us. They ain't even ready for us.
You're too kind. I'm very happy to know you.
They ain't even ready.
And you got me started on the journey to advocating for this. I did not realize the seriousness of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, so it and I didn't realize how widespread it was. I do think that the current world where things are more, just all of the diseases seem to be worse.
Yeah.
As time has gone on, we've weakened as the human race in general, I feel.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that is interplaying. However, I know that historically in other countries where these diseases were known about, there wasn't a lot of distinction made between sickle cell trait, sickle thalassemia. It was all pretty much in the same basket.
Yeah.
So those distinctions didn't come until America kind of got into it and it became politicized.
Yes.
So I'm just praying that we can get back to managing it,
as a community.
As a community. And is there a link to the Spanish, any Spanish information on your site?
Yeah. It's at the bottom of the website. I told them if you go there, it says Hispanic and Latin on the bottom.
Okay, entonces, también si tú quieres más información, tú puedes ir al website www.wday como David, Sei, O-N-S, Sei como caliente, Sei como tamaño, .org, como ORG.
Yeah.
ORG. Tú puedes ir ahí para más información. Si tú vas en la página, ahí vas a tener una botón que dice Hispanic o Latina y tú puedes empujarlo para buscar más información en español.
Yeah. Dr. Maisha, thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you too. I enjoyed it. Sorry that I got booted or
lost
connection for a minute there.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to be with you. Thank you, Farron.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, this is WDC on SCT.org, Farron Dozier Show, coming right back with In the Zone with Robert Lamar right here on KCA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also, KCARadio.com. Click Listen Live or Watch Live and download the app. Peace.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
Muchos de nosotros nos vemos afectados por la enfermedad de células falciformes a diario y un número creciente simplemente no nos damos cuenta. Los impactos de esta enfermedad afectan a todas las personas y en especialmente a las personas de color y con antecedentes diversos. Estar en servicio conmigo y con los demás a medida que creamos una mayor conciencia sobre cómo identificar y dirigir el tratamiento de los rasgos de células falciformes y ayudar a las familias a saber cómo superar el trastorno de células falciformes. wdconsct.org. Gracias por su atención.
Gracias. This is the Farron Dozier Show on KC Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. We got Robert Lamar in the zone. Robert Lamar, what's happening?
What it do?
Man, I appreciate it.
Hey, you got it going, bro. Hey, you could have kept on the whole show. Hey, that's what's up. Like, she's is she close by or is she far out?
North Kakalaki.
Oh man, she need to make a trip to Cali, bro.
Yeah, we got her coming out though.
She's dope.
Yeah, she's just nothing less than a blessing. Like I said, man, it's great to find, all the stuff that I dealt with, and then to find out that there are people who know about it, right? So I didn't feel lost anymore when I found her, with her knowledge and then what she knows about it. So it made my life make more sense, and that's what we want to do for people, But what's up with you, man? Let's get in the zone these last few minutes, man. And so much going on in the world right now with sports, high school sports, football season is it completely done already?
Football is officially over. We'll see you in August, baby. It's always, you want to know what's crazy? It's at the end at this time, we're so tired and we're so ready for it to be over.
Right.
But when it gets old, when that day is here, then you realize you're not going to have this day again until like mid-August. So it's always bittersweet.
Yeah.
But let's just say congratulations to the back-to-back state champions and soon-to-be back-to-back national champions, modern-day Monarchs. They beat De La Salle this weekend, 37-15.
Whoa.
And once upon a time, De La Salle used to run the state and used to be doing that to all of our schools down here. Well, that day is gone. Our schools do it to all the Northern Cal schools. And it's been San Mateo Serra, where Tom Brady went. They've been making numerous state championship appearances, either against Modern Day and Bosco, and it's just never close. But
year after
they
year.
had a difficult year, and Modern Day was actually able to propel and get to, become the northern representative to play. The southern representative, which happened to be Modern Day this year.
Yeah.
And they played a tough game. They didn't lay down, but 37-15 in a state championship game is domination. Domination. So, I mean, Modern Day is a different team. Like, they're 3 deep. They're third stringers of starters in other places. Second string or stars in other places. I mean, it's just, the depth is ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. So another thing, I want to definitely give a shout out to Lincoln High School in San Diego, aka Southeast Dago Stand Up. They played a very tough Pittsburgh team, and they were able to win I believe this is their second state title in 3 or 4 years, 1 or 2. A special. I wanted to make sure that I gave them a shout out because Lincoln is a prime example when you keep your kids home.
Oh.
You don't got to go to a private school. I'm not trying to disrespect the private school,
right?
But when you can keep your talent, you can put a foundation at the home. You will produce results, and that is exactly what Lincoln has done. So shout out to them for getting the community on the same page and being able to make their run and not losing their players to the private schools in San Diego. You know, nobody's going from Southeast to Cathedral Catholic anymore, or going to Madison or St. Augustine. None of that. They're staying home,
right?
And they should, because there's no place better than home. So they did their thing. Coach Will's familiar with this opponent, Edison. Shout out to Edison for winning the state title. They are a division rival from and they were able to win state. So I mean, it was a good weekend for state football. Not all that Southern teams won.
Yeah.
And there's usually like a lot of parity. So I mean, it is what it is. So
I got a question for you though. I got a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to say this publicly yet. Maybe on another episode. But you did really well with Carson Cox, right?
Yes.
Is there any you got some players that's on your radar in that same kind of aspect?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say no.
No?
Not right now.
Not right now. Okay. You have them in mind, or you just don't want to say their names? You don't want to say.
I have them in mind, but I don't want to just. I need to see more for me to be able to make that assertion, because when I started talking the talk that I was talking with Carson,
yeah,
I was ready to stand on that, and if it didn't work, oh well.
Right.
But I felt that it was going to happen, and I'm ready to get whatever smoke comes with what does or does not happen. There's not a player that I feel like that.
I just
feel the same way.
I just feel like, it's time for Robert Lamar in the zones to have his, ratings and his stats and his players to look out for. I think it's time for that, man. I think you qualify. You're just as qualified as the other cats out there that created their brand for that.
Man, bro, I'm more qualified because I'm not under nobody's politics.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, anyone, like, there's a few people that are under an umbrella and still kind of keep it real. I like a few guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say no names.
Yeah.
But there ain't that many that are really, like, honest.
Right.
And I'm really honest. Nobody was talking Carson talk.
Right.
Carson Cox talk.
Right. That's what I'm
like
saying.
I was.
That's what I'm saying. And
like,
here's
bro,
the results of it.
So it's just like, y'all can piggyback off of me all you like. I don't like, but we all know, and he know, Carson know, his dad know. Basically, who got this train rolling was Robert Lamar. Because like, look, I need to see a dog.
Yeah.
I need to see a dog because a lot of these kids, there's so much talent out here, but you got to have that mentality that you constantly want to get better.
That's the piece.
And then you got to constantly get better.
That's the piece.
Which
is what Carson did.
Man, he did everything.
Yeah.
I'm like a proud father with that one. I'm a proud father with that one. I'm gonna tell you the last guy that I was so sure about that nobody was sure about, and it's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Thomas from Dorsey.
We're gonna have to bring him up on the
not
next.
Not from Dorsey. I'm tripping. He was from Taft.
Oh.
Like his uncle was the Dorsey, Keyshawn Johnson.
Oh, okay.
City Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, didn't have no offers out of high school.
Okay.
He went to a prep school for 2 years, then went to Ohio State and killed it. And then he killed it with the Saints.
All right.
That's the last dude I was screaming and hollering what the heck is going on here? So there'll be another.
I just think it's gonna be time to have a Robert Lamar in the zone piece. So these
it's gonna happen.
Yep. So, man, Robert Lamar, man, thank you for hanging out with us tonight, man. I appreciate you. Looking forward to having you back in the station, bro. You and Coach Will. This is the Farron Dozier Show on KC Radio 106.5 FM, 250 AM. Shout us out, what's the count? WDCONSCT.org and Call Me Go right here. Shout us out, what's the count?
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
KCAA.
Hey, this is Gary Garver. If you work out like I do,